Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we are unpacking some incredibly fascinating source material that explores the hard neuroscience behind how your mind actively filters and literally creates the reality you experience every single day. We're leaning on some brilliant insights from neuroscientist Emily McDonald here to finally move past the whole woo-woo aspect of reality creation and look directly at the actual brain chemistry that's guiding our lives.
So, right off the bat, is your brain secretly trying to sabotage you? I know, it sounds a little alarming, right? But the truth is, your brain is currently filtering the reality around you at this exact moment. And, depending on your old programming, it might actually be subconsciously working against your biggest goals. You see, your brain isn't fundamentally wired to make you happy or wealthy or successful. It's wired to keep you safe and to be incredibly efficient. And sometimes, unfortunately, that biological efficiency looks a whole lot like self-sabotage.
So the crucial point here is that our brains do not show us an objective, 100% accurate picture of reality. Instead, they serve up a highly filtered version that perfectly matches our pre-existing internal narratives. This is the literal biological definition of confirmation bias. Your brain takes in an overwhelming, massive amount of data every single second. To save energy, it simply filters out anything that contradicts what you already believe to be true, while shining a massive spotlight on the things that prove you right.
And that leads to a terrifying yet totally enlightening scientific paradox. You actually get dopamine when your brain confirms the belief you hold, even if it's negative. Dopamine is the molecule of reward and motivation. Think about what this means. If you constantly doubt yourself and then you fail, your brain actually gives you a chemical reward for being right about your own negative self-doubt. It reinforces a negative mindset because being right feels biologically good to the brain even when the real-world outcome is bad.
This brings us to a biological mechanism known as the amygdala hijack. When we doubt ourselves, when we constantly beat ourselves up, or honestly, when we're just chronically stressed out, the fear center of our brain, the amygdala, essentially reaches over and grabs the steering wheel. It completely hijacks our perception of the world around us. Let's walk through exactly what happens when your nervous system gets stuck in this dysregulated state. First, your amygdala starts scanning reality only for potential threats, just trying to keep you safe. Because of this, your perception becomes highly filtered and literally inaccurate. Have you ever walked away from a conversation entirely convinced you messed up, only for a friend to be like, "What are you talking about? You did great." That is the amygdala hijack in action. When you're in this state, you literally cannot notice new blessings or opportunities standing right in front of you because your brain is too busy scanning the horizon for danger. All the while, your energy is just completely drained as your stress hormone, cortisol, skyrockets.
Section 1. The mechanism, your nervous system programming.
To really picture how intense this programming is, let's look at this wildly fascinating classic scientific study on visual perception. When we're born, our brains are basically a sponge, packed with the most neural connections we will ever have. Over time, the brain prunes away the pathways we don't use, based on our environment. Well, in this experiment, newborn kittens were raised in completely dark cylinders. One group only ever saw horizontal black and white stripes. The other group only ever saw vertical stripes. Later on, when they were placed in a normal, everyday environment, the horizontal striped kittens were completely blind to vertical objects. Like if a vertical bar was waved right in front of them, they didn't react at all. Their brains literally lacked the neural wiring to even perceive it.
And this brilliantly illustrates a massive question we all need to ask ourselves. Where are you a kitten in your own life? Seriously, think about it. What opportunities, what levels of wealth, what types of healthy relationships are standing right in front of you right now, but you are completely blind to them simply because your brain isn't wired to perceive them yet? If your programming was built on scarcity or victimhood, well, abundance is just a vertical stripe you can't see.
Section 2. The solution. The art of identity shifting. You know, most people try to change their lives by obsessing over their to-do list. But as the explainer highlights, what we really need is a to-be list. See, your brain holds a model of who you are, largely managed by something called the default mode network, and it uses that model to subconsciously predict your choices before you even consciously make them. If you deeply identify as someone who eats unhealthy foods, in a moment of stress, your nervous system will subconsciously drive you straight toward the dessert. You have to clearly define the identity, the energy, and the beliefs of the future version of you who already has what you want. So how do we actually lock in that new identity? Well, we lean on a foundational concept in neuroscience called Hebb's Law. It simply states, neurons that fire together wire together. You are always doing one of two things at any given moment. You are either reinforcing your current reality or you are creating a new one. Every single time you repeat a thought, an emotion, or a behavior, you are strengthening those specific neural pathways. If you want a brand new reality, you have to consistently fire the neurons associated with that new to-be list. The brain is essentially an association machine. It anchors your identity to your environment, the friends you hang out with, and your daily habits. But one of the absolutely most critical anchors here is keeping your word to yourself. If you are constantly visualizing success, but you break promises to yourself, like skipping the gym when you swore you'd go, your brain actually stops trusting you. You lose self-trust, and your brain stays on a swivel, feeling unsafe. Discipline isn't just about grinding and getting things done. Discipline is actual, literal nervous system regulation.
Let's move to and see how this builds into practical, everyday tools like affirmations. Affirmations aren't just magic words. They are neuroplasticity in action, but you have to do them right. There's this amazing anecdote from the source material about a guy who just couldn't get affirmations to work for him until he started listening to them while riding his jet ski. I mean, why would that work? First, forward movement, like walking or riding, actually lowers your logical mind's resistance. Second, being in a state of play and fun gives you a huge boost of dopamine. And remember, dopamine is the driver of neuroplasticity in learning. By combining fun, physical movement, and repetition, you can rapidly strengthen those new neural pathways. Section 3. The climax. The delusional brain hack.
This next part is absolutely crucial. The source material states that doubt is a dopamine destroyer. Remember, the brain is an energy-conserving machine above all else. If you doubt your dreams, your brain does not perceive a guaranteed reward at the end of all your hard work. And because it doesn't see a clear reward, it simply will not release the dopamine you need to motivate you to take action. If you doubt it, you literally sap your body of the chemical fuel required to go out and achieve it.
Just imagine for a second, a person walking right next to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just constantly whispering in your ear that you're going to fail, that you aren't good enough. If that were a real physical person, your nervous system would be permanently braced, stressed out, and totally dysregulated. Yet this is exactly what we do to ourselves with our own inner critic. We keep our cortisol sky high and our ability to perceive new opportunity incredibly low. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we can completely reframe the whole concept of being delusional. From a hard neuroscience perspective, being completely, unshakably convinced of your future success, even without current evidence, is actually a massive biological advantage. It is a deliberate brain hack. It boosts your performance, it unlocks that massive dopamine rush to drive your motivation, and it overrides those default negative amygdala filters. Being delusional in this sense simply means living outside the illusion of the current norm. You have to act outside your current circumstances and hold that belief steady until your new neural pathways solidify and reality finally catches up.
Which brings us to the ultimate summary of everything we've unpacked in this explainer today. The law of attraction isn't just some mystical, out-there concept. It is your nervous system acting on its programming. You don't attract what you want. You attract what your brain is wired for. Your nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for exactly what it has been conditioned to expect. If you rewire the expectation, you literally rewire the reality your brain constructs and allows you to interact with. So the big question the source leaves us with is this: are you ready to wire a new reality? Because it's not about just grinding and doing more, it is about being intentional. Try sitting down today to write out your to-be list. Start giving your brain the new vertical stripes it needs to see, and just watch how quickly reality